You won't believe what just surfaced. Never-before-seen footage from a hidden party thrown by Diddy and Post Malone has leaked, and the internet is in a frenzy. But this wasn't just any celebrity gathering. Federal agents were reportedly monitoring the event in real time.
Why? What was happening behind those velvet ropes?
Stay tuned as we uncover the shocking timeline that's now sending ripples through Hollywood and Washington alike.
It started like any other Twitter scroll.
A blurry, low-resolution video, just 27 seconds long, posted by a throwaway account with 0 followers. At first, no one paid attention. The clip opened with loud music, a sea of bodies swaying in an opulent, dimly lit mansion, laser lights cutting through the haze. But then the camera shifted, just briefly, to reveal 2 unmistakable silhouettes: Sean Diddy Combs laughing with Post Malone, red solo cup in hand, standing under a neon sign shaped like a dollar symbol. That single frame changed everything. The post was deleted within minutes, but not before a few users saved the video and reposted it. Within hours, the clip had gone viral, bouncing from TikTok to Reddit to encrypted Telegram channels. Twitter re-uploads racked up hundreds of thousands of views before being systematically removed.
YouTube mirrored uploads were shadow banned.
Instagram flagged it for violating community standards. Yet somehow, the video kept spreading, evolving into a digital ghost no algorithm could kill. What made the video so incendiary wasn't just the celebrity faces, it was the context. Viewers immediately noticed the oddities. The camera pans too quickly, as if the person filming was afraid of being caught. There's no DJ, but music pumps loudly from unseen speakers. The lighting is harsh, more like surveillance than a celebration. The partygoers look tense, some wearing earpieces, and there's an eerie absence of influencers or media presence.
No phones in the air. Just whispered conversations and opulence. Online sleuths dove in.
One user on Reddit's r/r conspiracy video Zoom started dissecting each frame. A mirrored reflection in a wine glass revealed a third person, unmistakably a known entertainment lawyer facing multiple civil suits. A sharp-eyed YouTube user spotted a painting on the wall, linking it to an interior decor profile posted 2 years ago on Zillow. Within hours, the crowd had triangulated the probable location to somewhere in the Hollywood Hills. But what truly stirred the internet was the identification of a man standing behind Post Malone, wearing a charcoal suit and speaking into his sleeve. Users matched his image with that of a convicted white-collar criminal who had recently been released under mysterious circumstances. That's when the theory caught fire. This wasn't just a party, it was a meeting. The hashtags #DiddyLeak and #PostMaloneParty were trending worldwide before sunrise. Some claimed the video was fake, a deep-fake hoax engineered to frame celebrities. Others pointed to patterns in the footage suggesting insider access, angles only someone from the inside could have captured. The frame-by-frame analysis continued at a fever pitch, with one Twitter user uploading a breakdown of potential attendees using AI-enhanced stills and facial recognition plugins. That thread alone received over 2 million views before being banned for privacy violations.
Celebrities began quietly unfollowing both Diddy and Post Malone. No one commented publicly. That silence only amplified the speculation. Within 12 hours of the original leak, major platforms issued takedown notices under copyright infringement claims, but the copyright holder listed was a newly registered shell company out of Wyoming. A few users downloaded the metadata from early versions of the video, uncovering a timestamp that placed the footage roughly 3 weeks earlier, on a Saturday that coincided with Diddy's now-deleted private industry event listed on his calendar. Meanwhile, Discord groups filled with amateur investigators emerged overnight, cross-referencing social media posts from celebrities and influencers who had gone suspiciously dark on the weekend in question. A few obscure tweets from verified accounts appeared to reference the real party or where the money's at, further fueling the digital firestorm. Journalists picked up the story, but coverage remained cautious. NBC ran a segment about unauthenticated footage causing social media uproar. TMZ confirmed that representatives for both artists declined to comment. But online, the momentum was unstoppable. Conspiracy theories exploded. Was this tied to the Epstein files? A secret label summit? A laundering operation? Then came the first real break. An anonymous account on Telegram posted a cryptic message. The party wasn't supposed to be filmed. That was the deal. Now the feds are watching. That post, timestamped just after 2 a.m., ignited a new wave of paranoia. Was someone at the party already under surveillance? Had the footage triggered a broader investigation? The next day, Reddit moderators began deleting threads that speculated about specific criminal activity, citing legal threats. Telegram groups were raided by bots and users locked out.
Instagram pages posting stills from the footage found their accounts shadow banned or permanently disabled. Yet the footage lived on, tucked into corners of the internet where no TOS policies could reach. By the 24-hour mark, something had changed. The conversation shifted from "what is this?" to "why did this get out now?" Some speculated it was a coordinated leak by someone inside Diddy's circle looking to burn bridges. Others suggested it was an accident, a private video mistakenly uploaded to a cloud account and found by someone snooping. But another theory began to gain traction. This was the tip of the iceberg. If the party was indeed weeks ago, why was the video only emerging now? And why had it been uploaded so quietly, then removed so rapidly? Was it time to interfere with an ongoing investigation? Or was someone warning the public? By the time the sun set on day one, news vans were circling the general area suspected to be the party location. Drones buzzed overhead. Paparazzi had staked out known properties linked to both artists. But inside the encrypted corners of the web, a select few were already several steps ahead, digging through business registrations, bank records, and overlapping guest lists from other elite Hollywood events. And that's when the second video was teased. Not released. Just teased. A watermark appeared across several Telegram channels, showing a frozen frame from a yet unseen angle. One that hinted at something far more damning. A folded briefcase. A whispered exchange. A timestamp just minutes after the first clip ended. The caption was chillingly simple. "This isn't just a party. It's evidence." It didn't take long for the internet's collective brain to do what even law enforcement sometimes struggles with: figure out exactly where the chaos happened. The search began with a single piece of wall art, a surrealist painting barely visible in the background of the leaked footage. Reddit users in the interior design sleuths subreddit matched it within hours to a now-deleted post on a high-end art curation Instagram page. From there, they traced the tag to a Los Angeles-based staging company that specialized in ultra-luxury rentals. But that was just the first crack in the dam. A Zillow listing from 2 years ago showed a nearly identical layout to the space seen in the clip: floor-to-ceiling windows, polished marble floors, and an unusually deep indoor pool with LED lighting. The property had last been listed at $19.4 million. Real estate blogs had profiled the house when it was first sold, calling it a Bond villain's bachelor pad dropped in the middle of Hollywood. The house, according to those now-defunct listings, was tucked away in the hills just above Mulholland Drive, near the edge of Laurel Canyon. Locals knew the area for its isolation, privacy, and celebrity clientele. The address wasn't confirmed publicly, but amateur drone pilots began flying over the coordinates crowdsourced from Reddit and Telegram forums. What they saw raised more questions than it answered. Drone footage showed unusually high security. Not just gates and cameras, but 2 armed guards stationed at the front entrance, a rolling blackout tent covering the entire rear courtyard, and 3 unmarked SUVs parked under a tarp near the garage. Zoomed-in frames revealed a satellite dish recently installed, pointed skyward at an odd angle, suggesting encrypted communication or private uplink access. More troubling still was the number of unregistered vehicles captured in the footage. Several sedans and vans without license plates had been spotted arriving and departing late into the night during the supposed party weekend, captured by neighbors' security cameras. Some cars were parked nose first into the hillside, completely obscured from road view. An anonymous neighbor, speaking to a local blog under a pseudonym, claimed they heard a low-flying helicopter around 3:30 a.m. the night in question. "It was a lapped, I know that sound," the neighbor said. "This was military grade. No lights. Just a hum, like a mosquito, hovering and then gone." Others in the area reported strange disruptions in their Wi-Fi and phone signals over that weekend, as if some sort of scrambling device had been active nearby. The media had now caught up to the story, but their coverage lagged behind the digital detectives. While the news spoke vaguely of a private event at an undisclosed location, Reddit threads were already dissecting blueprints of the mansion pulled from old city planning permits. The layout matched the leaked footage frame for frame. Still, something was off about the ownership. The property wasn't registered under Diddy's name, or Post Malone's, for that matter. A brief shell game of LLCs and blind trusts made tracking ownership a challenge, but eventually, internet sleuths traced the home to a rental agency called Lux Stays Global, which catered to private elite clientele and offered NDA-enforced experiences in homes across the globe. Lux Stays Global's website had gone offline within 48 hours of the video leak. A cached version of the site showed a listing with identical photos to the ones from the leaked footage, using generic names like Casa Solstice and Event Estate number 044. The client agreement terms buried in the fine print stated that all event participants must sign non-disclosure agreements, and no cameras or phones were permitted without express written consent. That clause didn't stop someone from filming and leaking. The anonymous leaker had clearly breached the NDA, and now, cracks in the operation were starting to show. Former employees of Luxdays began leaking DMs to journalists and influencers, confirming that the house had been booked under an alias just a few weeks prior to the leak. The name? A. Knowles. Not Beyoncé's real initials, but close enough to raise eyebrows, and probably an intentional misdirection. What caught investigators' attention, however, was the catering invoice that surfaced on Twitter. Dated and itemized, it listed charges for a client-controlled menu, unusual alcohol brands, and, most suspiciously, communications disruption coverage. One-line item simply read, RF nullification, 12-hour window, $6,800. By now, federal interest was mounting. An unnamed law enforcement source told the LA Times off the record that investigators were actively reviewing digital evidence and location data linked to the property. They declined to confirm whether this included drone footage or cellular metadata, but tech bloggers were already noting that Stingray cell interceptors had likely been deployed near the house that weekend. More damning evidence began to trickle in through encrypted tip lines. Someone leaked an internal memo from a luxury staffing agency confirming they had provided bartenders and discreet hospitality professionals to a Hollywood Hills address on the same weekend. The memo included standard confidentiality instructions and the now chilling line. Client requires absolute discretion. All staff phones to be locked upon arrival. Violators will be legally pursued. Within hours of that memo surfacing, a former employee of the staffing agency posted anonymously to 4chan's Apollo board, claiming they had worked the event in question. They didn't say what they saw, but they posted a blurry image of what looked like an interior security badge with a QR code and the name Kyle M. printed in bold. It was enough for the sleuths to go wild. The theory now circulating online was that the party, if it could even be called that, was a highly controlled, high-stakes meeting between multiple powerful figures. And the fact that someone had dared to leak it meant they either didn't fear the consequences, or were trying to trigger them. The chapter of mystery deepened when a handful of anonymous NDAs were leaked to journalists by someone claiming to be a former staff handler. These documents bore the logo of a private security firm named Falcon 9 Protective Services, a name with no visible online presence aside from a single P.O. box in Burbank and a disconnected number. Journalists, legal experts, and internet watchdogs all began asking the same question. If Diddy or Post Malone didn't own the house, didn't rent it, and didn't organize the staff, then what exactly were they doing there? And perhaps more urgently, who did? By the end of day 3, the question of where had finally been answered. But now, it was being overshadowed by a much darker question. Why? The moment the leaked footage went viral, silence rippled across certain federal departments. Not because they hadn't seen it, but because they had. And not just after it hit social media. They'd seen it live. 3 days after the party video surfaced, an anonymous whistleblower, using a secure drop hosted on a dark web forum, released a heavily redacted PDF file. The document contained internal routing stamps, initials from the Department of Homeland Security, and one stunning revelation. Electronic surveillance was already in place at the Hollywood Hills property on the night of the party. The surveillance, it claimed, was authorized for an unrelated federal operation. But the timing was impossible to ignore. News outlets hesitated to publish the document in full, fearing legal retaliation. But by the time the redactions were debated, the original file had already been screen-captured, translated into 10 languages, and flooded across Telegram channels and private Discord servers. Journalists, internet sleuths, and even former federal agents confirmed the format looked authentic, down to the barcodes and signature blocks. The report didn't mention Diddy or Post Malone by name. But it did include one intriguing detail: visual markers placed on 3 subjects of interest observed entering the premises between 10:32 p.m. and 11:14 p.m. that night. One of the descriptions, a male, approximately 6 feet 0 inches, Caucasian, numerous face tattoos, silver grill, was a direct match to Post Malone. Another description matched a well-known entertainment executive currently under investigation by the SEC. Even more telling was the note that read, "Same surveillance van previously deployed at 2nd Avenue location, June 2022, Combs engagement." Reddit and Twitter lit up immediately. The mention of Combs' engagement was interpreted as an official reference to Diddy's previous party on the East Coast, the one that had made minor headlines for its celebrity guest list but was largely forgotten, until now.
Had the feds been watching him all along? A known surveillance tech blogger broke down the implications on a live stream.
That reference to June 2022 means Diddy's gatherings have been on the government's radar for at least a year, he explained.
This wasn't a spontaneous watch. This was strategic tracking.
And if that van was reused, it suggests a pattern of interest tied to him specifically. The same night that revelation dropped, someone posted drone footage of the party location. It wasn't the kind of amateur drone coverage that had been circulating earlier. This one had the feel of a military-grade surveillance feed, monochrome, infrared, crosshairs included. The video showed cars arriving and departing, but with certain license plates digitally redacted. The metadata showed it had been recorded at exactly 11:53 p.m. on the night in question. Commentators speculated the leak came from within. Someone on the inside, either disillusioned or under pressure, was funneling fragments of the surveillance operation into the public domain. Most suspected a disgruntled tech contractor or a whistleblower operating from a secure location. Then, things escalated. Cyber forensics experts traced a suspicious drone that had been hovering in the vicinity during the party.
It wasn't registered with the FAA.
Its serial number, pulled from leaked footage of the crash site 2 blocks away, traced back to a Delaware-based LLC, Halo Core Logistics. But Halo Core didn't exist in any meaningful way. It had no website, no listed employees, and a paper trail that led to a virtual mailbox in Wilmington.
Even more bizarre?
That same company had filed for dissolution just one day after the video went public. It didn't take long before private intelligence agencies weighed in. A report from an Israeli cybersecurity firm, circulated among select journalists, suggested that Halo Core was a front for a government contractor that previously operated surveillance assets for domestic counterintelligence.
Their conclusion?
The drone's flight pattern, altitude, and timestamp suggest operational surveillance, not civilian usage. The speculation only grew when an audio snippet surfaced, 15 seconds of what appeared to be a radio transmission intercepted near the party site. The voices were distorted, but a few words came through clearly.
"We've got movement inside. Hold up link.
Repeat, don't engage."
The community erupted. Who was saying that?
What movement?
And engage with what, exactly?
The federal agencies involved stayed quiet.
But silence, by this point, only stoked the fire.
A former FBI agent turned analyst appeared on News Nation to explain the implications. If federal surveillance was active that night, and this party was being watched as part of another operation, that means any evidence captured, legal or not, could be admissible under the right conditions, he said. The leak complicates everything, because now the public knows what the government knows, or at least a piece of it. Suddenly, both Diddy and Post Malone had bigger problems than bad press. Lawyers speculated on whether the footage could trigger subpoenas. Civil rights advocates raised alarms about privacy. But the biggest question, repeated endlessly across TikTok breakdowns and YouTube live streams, was, who else was in the house that night, and why were the feds really watching?
As the theory grew legs, a second whistleblower appeared.
This one didn't drop a document but instead posted a string of encrypted tweets using an account created just days before. The tweets hinted that more footage existed, much more, and that the party had been a cover for a meeting involving multiple persons of federal interest.
The tweet ended cryptically. "We warned them once. They didn't listen. Now it's all archived."
The phrase "now it's all archived" became a rallying cry across Reddit threads and TikTok theories. Some believed the leaker had downloaded the full surveillance cache. Others insisted it was being kept safe for strategic release. Either way, the implication was clear. This wasn't the last leak. At the same time, federal agencies began playing defense. DHS issued a blanket statement denying any targeted surveillance related to high-profile entertainers. The FBI declined to comment. But insiders told Rolling Stone that interagency meetings were already underway to evaluate the potential legal and political fallout. Back on Telegram, new threads were emerging, focused on linking the surveillance van's route to other suspicious gatherings in LA over the past 18 months. Several users traced overlaps between Combs-related events and sightings of unmarked vehicles parked within designated surveillance perimeters.
The narrative was shifting.
What began as a celebrity scandal was now morphing into a case study in federal overreach, elite secrecy, and digital resistance. And all of it was unfolding in real time, outside the reach of mainstream media, courts, or PR spin machines. As the week closed, one final detail dropped.
A zip file. Password protected.
Titled host_observation_archive_001. No one could open it,
Yet. But the implication was clear. More was coming. The silence from Post Malone was deafening.
For days, while the media swirled and Telegram threads pulsed with theories, he said nothing.
No tweets. No Instagram stories.
Not even a paparazzi shot of him walking to his car or lighting a cigarette outside a studio.
It was as if he'd vanished.
Then, without warning, his publicist released a 37-word statement to Variety. Post had no prior knowledge of the nature or attendees of the private event in question. He was invited by a longtime acquaintance and attended briefly. He has no further comment at this time.
The statement was cold, vague, and clearly calculated. But the internet wasn't buying it.
Within an hour, Reddit exploded with frame-by-frame comparisons of Post's body language in the leaked footage, his shoulders hunched, eyes darting, barely sipping from his cup. One user captioned it, "He knew something wasn't right."
The fan community turned frantic.
TikTokers began posting side-by-side clips of Post at previous events, contrasting his usual laid-back, goofy demeanor with the tight-lipped unease captured in the now-infamous footage. Hashtags like #FreePost and #PostDidn'tKnow began trending alongside #DidAleak. That same night, TMZ ran a new video. It showed Post Malone stepping out of a back entrance of an LA recording studio. The footage was grainy and shaky, but there was no mistaking him, head down, hoodie pulled tight, 2 security guards flanking him.
He didn't speak.
But what caught attention wasn't his silence, it was his face.
He looked pale, hollow-eyed, like he hadn't slept in days.
The footage aired on Entertainment Tonight within hours, and suddenly, speculation hit a new level. Was Post being silenced?
Was he scared? Had he been threatened?
A source close to the rapper, someone who'd worked with him since his beer bongs and Bentley's days, spoke anonymously to Rolling Stone.
The quote hit like a bombshell. He wasn't supposed to be there. He got a text from someone he trusted. Said it was just a chill get-together.
By the time he realized who else was showing up, it was too late. The source also confirmed that Post left the event after less than an hour and that he'd been extremely upset in the days that followed. According to the insider, the rapper deleted a contact in his phone linked to the party and changed numbers 2 days later.
That detail lit a fuse in fan forums. Who did he cut off? Who invited him? And what had he seen that made him go off-grid?
Digging deeper, users discovered that Post's usual security team had not been with him that night. Instead, he arrived in an unfamiliar SUV, accompanied by 2 men whose faces have yet to be clearly identified in the footage. Theories began to swirl that he had been led there intentionally. That he was being used. The idea that Post Malone, a beloved, approachable, chart-topping artist, had been blindsided into attending a shadowy meeting disguised as a party became the dominant narrative online. Especially after another curious development occurred. A popular Twitch streamer known for his music industry connections posted screenshots of a DM conversation with an alleged former Luxstays employee. The messages claimed that Post was visibly shaken just 20 minutes into the event and had asked whether there was another way out of the estate. The source alleged that staff were instructed not to assist guests with departure unless cleared through event control, a term that raised eyebrows. The next day, another anonymous poster on 4chan shared what they claimed was a partial guest registry from the event. The list included Post's real name, Austin Richard Post, next to a timestamp and check-in code. More damningly, it showed a column titled Risk beside each name, with Posts marked in yellow while others, like the mysterious A. Daniels and J. A. Whitman, were red. What did the colors mean? Risk of what? Fan groups compiled a timeline of Post's digital footprint from the past 3 weeks. They noted that after the night of the party, he went completely silent for 36 hours. No texts, no DMs, no Fortnite logins. For a man known to game until sunrise, this was a red flag. Then came a leaked group text screenshot from a backstage team member of one of Post's upcoming tour stops.
The text read,
"No questions about LA.
Do not mention Diddy. Avoid after-party requests. Full NDA enforcement.
No slip-ups." The message felt like confirmation. Post wasn't just shaken, he was under pressure. As speculation continued, one major celebrity, an unlikely ally, entered the fray. Billie Eilish posted a cryptic Instagram story, a black screen with the words "They tried to use him."
No context.
No explanation.
But fans quickly connected the dots. Billie and Post had long shared mutual respect. She was sounding the alarm in her own way. The story disappeared within 30 minutes. Then, finally, Post Malone resurfaced, on his own terms. He posted a black and white video on his Instagram.
Just him, sitting in a dark room, wearing a hoodie, guitar in his lap. He strummed a few chords, then spoke directly to the camera.
"Hey y'all. I've been reading everything.
It's been a heavy couple days.
I went somewhere I shouldn't have. Thought it was something else. It wasn't. I'm okay. Just processing. Love you guys." No mention of Diddy. No explanation.
But the message was clear. He'd been caught in something much bigger than himself.
The comments exploded.
Support flooded in from fans, fellow artists, even influencers. But buried in the replies were dozens of comments saying the same thing. They are not going to let him walk away. And beneath those, the unnerving ones. You weren't supposed to speak. Despite the flood of love, a shift had occurred.
Post Malone was no longer just a music icon. He was now a witness. Maybe not to a crime, but to a night that people in power wanted buried.
That same night, his upcoming Vegas residency was quietly postponed.
No official reason was given, but the whispers said everything.
Whether Post had stumbled into the belly of a blackmail scheme, a federal sting, or something even darker remained unclear. But what was certain now, undeniably, was that he had broken the unspoken rule of that night. Don't talk. Once the dust began to settle from Post Malone's cryptic Instagram video, the internet's attention turned sharply to the question that had been festering beneath the surface since the footage first leaked. Who else was at that party? In the original video, faces blurred in motion, partially hidden by smoke machines and shifting lights, had made identification difficult.
But digital sleuths were relentless.
They began using AI-enhanced stills to clean up the footage frame by frame. Within 48 hours, a clearer picture emerged, and what it showed sent the conversation into an entirely new realm of conspiracy and alarm. First up was a man seen in the corner of the room, standing beside a makeshift bar. At first glance, he was just another suited figure. But once the image was run through facial recognition software, cross-referenced with old congressional hearing footage, a match popped up: Jared Olcott, the son of a U.S. senator known for his aggressive opposition to tech regulation. Olcott had quietly resigned from a cryptocurrency firm months earlier amidst insider trading allegations. His appearance at this covert gathering raised a chilling question. Was this event a coincidence, or a congregation of leverage?
But Olcott wasn't the only VIP unearthed.
Another figure, caught momentarily in the reflection of a glass wall, was digitally reconstructed by a group of open-source intelligence enthusiasts.
Their conclusion?
Mikhail Devers, the disgraced former CEO of a now-defunct tech startup that had been raided by the FBI in late 2023. Devers had vanished from public life after allegedly defrauding investors out of $400 million.
His presence at a party hosted by Diddy?
Unbelievable.
Or maybe not.
Then came the most debated image of all, a woman in a red dress. Her identity couldn't be confirmed at first, but several sleuths noted her uncanny resemblance to Serena Vale, a European socialite turned fixer who was previously linked to multiple blackmail scandals involving elite businessmen and government officials. She had vanished from public life in 2021 after an expose tied her to encrypted phone services used to extort high-profile clients. Now, seemingly resurfaced in the background of the Diddy and Post party, the implications were staggering. If it was her, the event wasn't just high-profile. It was radioactive. Her image, circulating on Reddit and Twitter, became something of an icon, the Red Widow. Unconfirmed but symbolically potent, an embodiment of the rot insiders believed was festering behind the velvet ropes of celebrity culture.
Within days, a new layer of panic emerged.
A tech blogger known for deep forensic dives on celebrity phone leaks published a damning report. A known attendee's smartphone had been remotely wiped just 48 hours after the leak hit social media. Wiped, not just a factory reset, but completely zeroed at a firmware level using software typically reserved for intelligence services. The phone in question had previously backed up to iCloud, and that backup had mysteriously vanished as well. The user? An assistant to a former NBA star who was rumored to be in attendance that night, though never spotted directly on camera.
Someone was cleaning up.
Reddit threads began compiling a guest map, outlining potential attendees based on body type, walk cycles, and partial tattoos captured in brief flashes of light. This crowdsourced document, titled The Ledger, became an evolving Google Drive file, updated hourly, complete with probability percentages next to each name. Journalists stayed quiet, but the intelligence community did not. A former CIA analyst, appearing on an independent podcast, broke down the nature of the leak.
We're not talking about a party.
We're talking about a gathering of individuals who have every reason to avoid the public eye. High-value targets, PR disasters, ongoing federal scrutiny, It's a convergence of liabilities. That only happens in one of two scenarios. Either everyone's being blackmailed, or everyone's conspiring. And that's when the security firm came into focus. A whistleblower from within the hospitality industry posted anonymously on a contractor forum, confirming that the event had been staffed by operatives from Vanguard 17, a private security firm with no digital presence, no client list, and no public branding. The only known address was a shuttered office complex in downtown LA. The firm, according to the Post, provided event containment services and specialized in non-permissive environment management.
Translation? They kept secrets buried. Journalists tried reaching out to Vanguard 17. The number was disconnected.
The website had never existed. But a few old job postings on obscure military forums referenced the company and hinted at former intelligence community ties.
The pieces were falling into place. This wasn't just a party.
This was an operation.
More staffers began to speak up, quietly, anonymously.
One described the night as clinical.
No photos.
No laughter. Guests were required to surrender phones into signal-blocking pouches upon entry. Any attempt to open them triggered a silent alarm. Another described checkpoints inside the house. Not security for safety, but surveillance for control.
And then came the overlapping guest list.
An investigative thread uncovered that at least 4 names now tied to the Diddy event had also appeared on a leaked guest list from a notorious 2022 yacht party off the coast of Croatia, an event that ended with a federal raid and 0 charges filed. That yacht party had also been rumored to involve encrypted transactions, hush-money envelopes, and off-the-record political negotiations.
One Redditor spelled it out clearly. These aren't social gatherings.
They are leverage summits. Everyone brings a secret. Everyone leaves with one. The guest map was updated again. And now, the question wasn't who had attended, but what had been discussed. And why it needed to happen behind blackout curtains, surveillance drones, and NDAs. Adding fuel to the fire, an unlisted YouTube video appeared briefly for 10 minutes before being taken down. It showed a short clip, 6 seconds, no audio, of someone placing a briefcase on a marble table at the estate. The figure was obscured, but the watch on their wrist matched a custom Rolex given to a known hedge fund manager implicated in a money laundering investigation in 2021. Coincidence? Nobody thought so anymore. As the narrative evolved, one thing became certain. This wasn't an isolated incident. The Hollywood Hills party was the latest chapter in a deeper saga of clandestine meetings, reputation laundering, and quiet power moves masked as elite get-togethers. And now, with Post Malone's accidental attendance, the entire facade had cracked.
Because someone, somewhere, had brought a camera.
And for the first time, the world was watching the watchers. The morning the cease and desist letters hit inboxes, the tone across the media landscape changed from speculative to surgical. Diddy's legal team, led by the formidable Beverly Hills attorney Garrett Rourke, had issued formal legal threats to a slew of digital outlets, influencers, YouTubers, and even a small LA-based gossip podcast that dared to upload snippets or audio stills from the leaked party footage.
The claim?
Defamation, violation of privacy, and the unlawful distribution of digitally altered content.
But few believed this was about protecting truth.
Most saw it for what it was, the beginning of a high-profile legal lockdown. The filings didn't just go after the footage, they targeted the narrative.
Rourke's legal language was as strategic as it was aggressive.
Words like fabricated context, unlawful impersonation, and manufactured scandal peppered every document. At one point, the letter stated, Mr. Combs was not aware of any illegal or unauthorized activities at the cited gathering and disavows any connection to the leaked materials circulating online. It was the first time Diddy's team had officially acknowledged that a party had occurred. But legal scholars noted something strange. In every legal filing, Diddy was referred to as a participant, not an organizer. This subtle linguistic move seemed designed to distance him from the planning and coordination of the event. A defensive posture, not a denial, but a hedge. Meanwhile, Diddy himself vanished from the public eye.
His social media accounts went dark.
No posts.
No stories. No sponsored content.
Normally active and present at industry events, he skipped a major Fashion Week appearance where he was slated to co-host a designer showcase. A publicist from the event told Variety, he didn't even cancel.
Just went silent.
Outside his Los Angeles residence, paparazzi waited for days. Then came the motorcade. 3 black SUVs pulling into the underground garage in complete silence. One photographer swore they saw Diddy in the back seat, wearing a face mask and hoodie, head turned away from the cameras.
Another swore they saw two men dressed alike, implying decoys had been used. But while the man himself stayed hidden, the legal counteroffensive was in full swing. Behind the scenes, sources confirmed Diddy had hired Trident Strategies, a crisis PR firm infamous for high-level containment and spin. The firm's past clients included embattled tech moguls, politicians on the brink of career collapse, and one royal family member post-scandal. According to insiders, Trident was paid a seven-figure retainer, immediately, and deployed what they call a digital firewall, flooding the internet with generic sponsored content to dilute search engine results. YouTube videos about the party began disappearing. Reddit threads were locked. Even Twitter IX users found their accounts mysteriously flagged for spreading misinformation, despite citing credible sources. The algorithm war had begun. Then came the first official leak from within the legal camp. An assistant at one of Diddy's partner firms leaked a memo to a journalist at The Intercept. It contained notes from a closed-door legal strategy meeting. The key takeaway? Diddy's team was preparing for federal inquiries. The memo noted possible material relevance to ongoing investigative actions, and the use of the acronym SDNY, Southern District of New York, sent shivers through the entertainment world. If SDNY was involved, it meant the feds weren't just watching. They were building something. The next day, a New York Times article dropped a bombshell. A senior DOJ official, speaking off the record, confirmed that the Hollywood Hills event had overlapped with a wider federal probe into illicit financial transfers, possibly tied to foreign entities and shell corporations. While Diddy was not named as a suspect, he was now listed as an individual of interest in a sealed document issued 3 days after the leak. The article described the leak as a complication to ongoing surveillance, suggesting the party had inadvertently exposed targets still under observation. The article set off a media frenzy. Cable news brought in body language experts to analyze Diddy's posture in old footage. Podcasts did hour-long breakdowns of his past associations with various high-risk business entities. A 60 Minutes producer was spotted at one of Diddy's charity events from last year, reportedly gathering long-term material. But online, the tide had shifted. Diddy's once loyal fanbase was fracturing. Comments on old posts were now flooded with snake emojis, hashtags like #LawyeredUp and #CombsCoverUp trending hourly. Even prominent influencers who once praised him began backtracking or deleting past posts, citing legal pressure. Worse still, an anonymous tipster claiming to be an ex-employee of Combs Global posted a chilling message in a whistleblower channel. "This isn't the first time we've cleaned things up. But this one's different. Too many eyes. Too many wrong people in the room." Speculation about what that meant spread like wildfire. Had this happened before? Was this just the first time the cameras caught it? Then, an audio snippet surfaced. Posted to an encrypted blog, the recording, allegedly from a lapel mic worn by a staff member at the event, featured muffled music, light chatter, and then a clear, hushed voice. "We're not recording anything tonight." "Understood." Another voice. "That's not our call. We've already got eyes." The clip lasted just 14 seconds, but its impact was seismic. For many, it confirmed what was already feared, that Diddy and his team were aware, at least partially, that the party was under some form of observation. Whether that meant surveillance, blackmail, or both was unclear. What was clear was that things were no longer in Diddy's control. His attorneys moved fast to suppress the audio, issuing takedown notices and threatening legal retaliation for manipulated and unauthorized digital evidence. But by then, it had been downloaded tens of thousands of times. One final twist that week sealed the mood. An anonymous source provided a private flight log to The Guardian, showing that just 48 hours after the leak went viral, a private jet linked to Combs' corporate structure had flown from Burbank to the Cayman Islands. On board? No passenger manifest had been submitted. Was it him? Was it someone close? Or was this a move to reposition assets before the subpoenas started flying? No one knew. But the timing spoke volumes. Because when billionaires start running and lawyers start filing, and the only footage left is encrypted, it's never just about a party. It's about what wasn't supposed to be seen. By now, the story had morphed from celebrity gossip to a global media circus, and the ripples reached far beyond the entertainment industry. When the Washington Post broke its own investigation headlined "What Diddy's Party Reveals About America's Surveillance Culture," it was clear the scandal had entered uncharted territory. The piece didn't just focus on the footage, it dissected the broader implications, overlapping surveillance operations, murky federal agendas, and how a secret party turned into a battleground for privacy, power, and public accountability.
The article included excerpts from a leaked internal DOJ memo, which confirmed for the first time that at least 3 attendees at the party were linked to ongoing federal investigations, and that the footage leak had compromised the operational integrity of an undisclosed surveillance initiative. Although names were redacted, political watchdog groups pounced. Within hours, #DOJgate and #Operation Velvet became top trending hashtags. News anchors debated whether the government had been using Diddy's social gatherings to track powerful individuals under suspicion. Conservative outlets called it a deep state infiltration of Hollywood, while liberal commentators raised concerns about privacy violations, racial targeting, and misuse of surveillance tech. But the story truly erupted when a leaked document appeared on a Senate staffer's burner account, an unofficial roster, allegedly compiled from overlapping surveillance feeds and guest logs. While the identities were partially censored, 4 names were fully visible. Jared Olcott, the senator's son previously identified in the footage. Judge Melanie Radner, a federal judge presiding over a major antitrust case. Randall HSU, a Chinese-American biotech investor with Pentagon ties. A.K. Daniels, widely believed to be an alias used by a former lobbyist band from Capitol Hill. The implications were explosive. Why was a sitting judge at this event? Why were defense contractors and political operatives mingling under the cover of a celebrity party? Who knew about this? And who orchestrated it? Within hours, Congressman Elias Ward, Democrat New York, publicly demanded answers. In a fiery live interview on MSNBC, he called for a bipartisan hearing into unauthorized intelligence operations leveraging celebrity influence to mask classified objectives. His words were razor-sharp. If this was a federal operation, we deserve to know what for. And if it wasn't, then the people involved in that gathering have a lot to answer for. That same night, Senator Gertrude Wallace, Republican Texas, who had previously received campaign donations from Jared Olcott's family, held a press conference to deny any knowledge of or connection to the alleged incident. The media wasn't convinced. Footage quickly surfaced of Wallace photographed with Diddy at a fundraiser just months prior. Under increasing pressure, she issued a second statement. Any attempt to link me or my staff to this event is irresponsible, un-American, and potentially defamatory. Reporters at Politico weren't buying it. They published a piece citing 2 independent sources who claimed a member of Wallace's staff had received a phone call from inside the party venue during the time of the event. The article was carefully worded, but the subtext was clear: the walls were closing in. Amid the chaos, Diddy's legal team cancelled their long-awaited press conference without explanation. The event had been scheduled at the Beverly Hills Hotel and was expected to include a formal statement, legal positioning, and a Q&A session. Instead, reporters received a 2-sentence email. Due to rapidly evolving legal considerations and new information, Mr. Combs and his team will postpone today's media appearance. We will provide an update in due course. Social media interpreted the cancellation as a panic move. TikTokers uploaded reaction videos titled "He's got nothing to say because it's all true" and "Diddy's PR team in hell right now." Even major brands began distancing themselves. One alcohol sponsor quietly pulled a billboard campaign scheduled to feature Diddy during the upcoming award season. Meanwhile, Post Malone's label released a follow-up statement of its own. Austin was unknowingly brought into an environment that did not align with his values or expectations. We stand behind him. The message added fuel to the idea that Post was a pawn, perhaps bait, used to give the event cover as a music industry celebration while something entirely different played out in the shadows. The tension in D.C. reached a boiling point when Representative Kendra Holt, Independent California, introduced a resolution demanding the Department of Justice provide a classified briefing to the House Intelligence Committee. The resolution was supported by members from both parties, signaling how deep the political fear ran. Not because of what might be exposed, but because of who might be exposed. Amid the firestorm, a small but startling update came from the tech community. A new blockchain entry, timestamped and verified, revealed that a video hash linked to the second piece of footage, the one rumored to show a cash handoff, had been recorded on a private, invitation-only server known only to security contractors. The upload? Dated before the footage went viral. Which meant someone had been preparing for this fallout long before the public ever saw the footage. As major media scrambled to keep up with developments, independent journalists began connecting the dots between this scandal and a string of quiet investigations stretching back 5 years, corruption probes, wire fraud, tax shelter audits, all seemingly disconnected until now. Suddenly, Diddy's party wasn't just a celebrity implosion. It was a nexus point. And with the DOJ under scrutiny, judges implicated, and legislators in full damage control, the public perception began to shift dangerously close to conspiracy territory. Not because the facts weren't real, but because the silence around them was louder than ever. On the final day of the week, a Fox News correspondent cornered Senator Arnold Drayton, Republican Florida, on the steps of the Capitol.
Reporter:
Senator, can you confirm whether your office was aware of any federal surveillance activity connected to the Diddy incident?
Drayton paused, adjusted his tie, and stared directly into the camera. We're all aware now.
The question is, what happens next? Then he walked away, refusing to answer follow-ups.
The clip aired on every major network. It went viral in under 2 hours.
By Sunday, the White House had issued a rare statement, brief, measured, and almost paranoid in tone. At this time, the executive branch has no comment on the ongoing investigations or media coverage related to private citizens or federal operations. We trust in the rule of law.
For the public, that wasn't reassurance. It was confirmation.
By the end of the second week, it felt like the world was holding its breath. The story had reached every corner of the internet, infiltrated mainstream media, disrupted congressional schedules, and placed Diddy and Post Malone at the center of a maelstrom that no PR firm could spin. Yet amidst the smoke, one thing remained absent: the long-rumored second video.
Until now.
It appeared first in a discreet, members-only forum on the dark web, behind 3 layers of encryption and a required crypto buy-in.
It wasn't a leak, it was a controlled release.
The poster, known only as Zero Trace, uploaded a single zip file with 1 line of text.
You saw the party.
Now see the reason. Inside was a 41-second video, watermark-free, timestamped the same night as the original footage. It began unremarkably, an overhead view of the mansion's great room, shot from a fixed-angle ceiling cam. In the center of the frame, the same neon dollar sign, glowing dimly above a glass table. Then came the moment that shattered everything. At the 12-second mark, a man steps into frame, tall, suited, carrying a black briefcase. He pauses, glances around, and places the case on the table. Within seconds, 2 more individuals join him, faces partially obscured, but one wearing a recognizable signet ring previously spotted in an insect case involving foreign investment fraud.
No words are spoken, but the body language is unmistakable.
One man taps his phone, another nods, and the briefcase is opened just enough to reveal stacks of cash and what appears to be a USB device. At second 28, a new figure enters the frame, face shielded by a surgical mask. A quick exchange, a handshake, and then the footage cuts to black.
No context, no audio. But the implications were devastating. This wasn't just a party. It was a transaction.
And with the metadata confirming the date and time, and 2 individuals now matched by digital forensics to previously known federal suspects, the conversation shifted from theory to confirmation.
Legal experts weighed in on news broadcasts. CNN's legal analyst declared,
"This footage, if authenticated, suggests illicit activity, possibly money laundering or the trafficking of sensitive data. The FBI will be forced to act." And they did. Within 24 hours, a sealed indictment was filed in a New York federal court. Though the names remained confidential, court watchers noted a sudden uptick in sealed legal activity under national security designations. News vans circled Diddy's residences in both New York and LA, and online forums speculated about imminent arrests. Then came the blow everyone was waiting for, but no one expected. Post Malone's manager released a handwritten letter from the artist, posted as an Instagram carousel.
It was raw, unpolished,
emotional. "I never wanted any of this. I thought I was going to hang out with old friends, talk about music, catch up.
I saw something I shouldn't have.
I felt something was wrong the moment I walked in, and I wish I'd left earlier. I've spent the past 2 weeks trying to understand what I was part of, or if I was used. All I know is, I'm not going back into that world. I'm stepping away.
For now, maybe for good. Take care of each other.
And don't let silence protect the wrong people." The post exploded, 12 million likes in less than 6 hours. #WithStandWithPost began trending worldwide.
Fans flooded his comments with support.
And in a quiet but symbolic move, Post removed all collaborative posts with Diddy from his social feeds. His team followed by announcing that he would be canceling all remaining tour dates, a decision that, according to industry insiders, would cost upwards of $30 million.
But the message was clear. Post Malone was done.
Back in Washington, classified briefings were underway.
The Senate Intelligence Committee met behind closed doors for 6 hours.
Leaks from inside suggested they were shown footage that had implications for both foreign and domestic counterintelligence. One congresswoman emerged pale and silent, refusing to answer any questions. Meanwhile, on social media, a massive data dump began circulating. Purportedly from the same source as the second video, it contained internal messages, travel logs, encrypted calendar entries, and partial transcripts of high-level communications between event planners and third-party security groups. One entry, dated 3 days before the party, read,
"Confirm receipt of device.
Handler will deliver in exchange for compensation. Ensure guest list overlaps to maintain noise cover." The term noise cover became the buzzword of the day. Noise cover, meaning Post Malone, influencers, celebrities, and staff, were strategically included to obscure the presence of high-risk or covert operatives.
The party wasn't a party. It was camouflage. Distraction.
A firewall of flashbulbs to shield something darker underneath. As public pressure mounted, Diddy's legal team released a short video on his official YouTube channel.
It featured a pre-recorded statement.
"I have been targeted by lies, leaks, and weaponized misinformation. I was not involved in any illegal activity, nor did I knowingly host anyone who was. I am fully cooperating with any legal process necessary.
I will not be intimidated."
But the backdrop, a sterile, hotel-like room, only raised more questions.
Had he fled the country? Was he in hiding?
In a final twist, an international flight manifest leaked showing a private jet, registered to a Diddy-affiliated company, had landed in Zurich just 36 hours earlier.
The passenger list? Redacted.
But the aircraft security clearance level suggested diplomatic protections had been invoked. And then, just as the world was spinning with leaks, confirmations, and speculation, the source went quiet.
No more posts from Zero Trace. No new footage. No follow-ups.
Just one final message, posted across every channel where the leaks had emerged. "That's enough.
You've seen what you need to see. What you do with it now is on you."
And with that, the story began to cool.
Or at least shift. The mainstream media pulled back. Celebrities moved on. Politicians avoided the topic.
The narrative softened, not from lack of interest, but because too many of the wrong people were getting too close to being named.
But the footage still existed. The data still lived in servers. And the truth? It had already escaped into the public bloodstream. As for Post Malone, he bought a small ranch in Utah. No cell service. No interviews.
Just a line from one of his last songs echoing through fan channels like a whisper from someone who almost got buried by the machine. You don't know what they hide behind the velvet ropes, but once you do, you never dance the same again.